Hi, welcome back to Leaving Your Lies and Speaking Your Truths. We are back with Miss Ivy Iverson. Miss Ivy, when we left part one, I'd asked you, when and how did you end up leaving?
So the answer to that question is pretty interesting, actually. I left the faith and the Baptist faith, the independent fundamentalist Baptist faith, and then also any kind of Christianity, really. When I was about 17, I think it was 17, I started going to a Messianic Jewish congregation, and believe it or not, my dad was very supportive. He knew that I was going to do it no matter what anyway, because I'm pretty strong-willed. But he was very supportive because he felt like it was another Christian-based faith. It was Jews for Jesus kind of thing. But yeah, I got involved in the Messianic Jewish congregation, and that's where I met my husband, and we were married for 4 years, and that was an abusive relationship. So I exited that pretty quickly. But yeah, that's how I got out. So it was a very simple exit, and I was glad to have my dad's support because I still lived with my parents at that time.
Wow.
So you kind of worked your way out of it. And a lot of people, obviously we all do that in some ways. We transition our way out mentally. It's a process. And that was your first step, was basically you went into another organized religion at that point in time. Huh. Well, that's very interesting.
I did, yeah.
And so when you went through your divorce after your abusive relationship, then when you left the Messianic Jewish religion, is that when you broke away from organized religion completely at that point?
Yeah, pretty much. I got involved in, I finally became honest with myself when I was about 25, 26 about my sexuality. And I started dating a woman. I moved away from Atlanta and I moved to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I started dating, within the lesbian community, and I got involved with the LGBT community. At that time, I still wanted some type of faith because I am a person of faith.
Right.
And I wanted some type of faith. So I got involved in the MCC, and that's the Metropolitan Community Church. And I got involved with them. A lot of people call it the gay church. But their ministry is specifically to the LGBTQA community.
Okay.
And a lot of their ordained ministers are gay or bi or trans. And so I got involved in that faith, and it certainly was not a cult. It was a church. It's its own denomination. And it was lovely, and it was nice. The first time I actually went to an MCC church was here in Atlanta, and one of my best friends and my business partner Frank, he took me to this church. We were at a party, and it was my first gay pride parade in Atlanta. He took me to a party afterwards, and it was a crazy party, and there was a lot of alcohol, and he was at one end of this condo and I was at the other, and he saw through all of this crowd of people that I was kissing some random woman, and he was like, her dad's gonna kill me because he was gay, and and he's been living his authentic self for years. So he kind of freaked out, and he was like, we have to go now, your dad's going to kill me. I'm not turning you gay. I'm not turning you gay. It was like this whole, you can't turn somebody gay, but it's like that was.
But he felt responsible.
My dad. He felt responsible because he knew my dad, and he knew, how hardcore my dad was. But, yeah, I was finally honest with myself, and I went to the MCC faith. Anyway, Frank took me to an MCC church for the first time here in Atlanta, and I cried the entire time because I felt as if these people were living authentically. They weren't lying about who they were, but they were also clinging to the work of Christ. And it was beautiful. And they were living in compassion and love just like Christ did. So I cried the entire time. And I was involved in the MCC church for years and years after that. But I eventually broke away. From that, I became involved in the Unitarian Universalist faith and then the Unity faith. I now worship in a Native American way and a lot of Buddhist and Hindu beliefs, and I just don't. I don't cling to any one thing. There's a lot of beautiful Christian passages that I really love,
Right.
and I love, the work that Christ did on earth, if there was a Christ, and I'm open to learning from all faiths, and I think a lot of faiths have a lot of beauty in there.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. There's a lot of beauty in a lot of faiths. I love Judaism. Judaism is a beautiful faith, and I think that we can take little bits and pieces from everything that we encounter, and just leave the rest behind. If it
Right.
doesn't fit, it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It's like a shoe.
So Ivy, you're saying that you're still spiritual, though.
Right.
I'm definitely spiritual.
I love that.
Mhm.
I love that, because when we first started this and you were talking, and I thought to myself, there is absolutely no way this woman is not in some way spiritual, just because of who your heart is and how you speak. I thought to myself, if she doesn't admit it at some point when the cameras are off, I'm going to call bull on her. But, okay, I see it.
Yeah, I'm definitely spiritual. I am not religious. I don't believe in any one faith. Like I said, I
Yep.
think that there's beauty in a lot of things. I have a copy of the Quran, I have a copy of the Book of Buddha, and I have a Bible. And, there's right down the street from me is the largest Hindu temple in the nation, and it's beautiful. I happen to collect elephants, so I'm especially partial to the god Ganesh, who is the remover of all obstacles. So, very spiritual. Yeah.
So that kind of leads into our next question, which is: are your parents still part of the independent fundamentalist Baptist religion? And if so, where does that put your relationship with them today?
They are definitely involved in the I.F.B. They left it for a while, like I said earlier. They left that faith and went to a Southern Baptist church while I was in high school for a little bit, and then got right back into it. 4 or 5 years later, they went back to the I.F.B., found a proper church that they felt was preaching the Word of God rather than Southern Baptist, which of course doesn't, according to them. They are still involved. They're involved in a church within Ackworth, Georgia, and they, as far as how it affects my relationship with them, it affects it dramatically. I recently moved out of their home. I moved back in with them to help my dad care for my mother. My mother's not very healthy. She's got lots of issues. She's blind. She has rheumatoid arthritis, lots of health issues, recent heart attack 3 years ago. And she basically needs round-the-clock care. And she's 83 and my dad is 85. And I felt like he needed my help to care for her.
Right.
After my recent divorce to my then wife, after much delay, I did not want to move in with them. I moved in with them for a year. I was there for a year, and I couldn't take it anymore. My dad has been known to come into a room that I might have things in. He's done this with my sister-in-law as well, and would take down a photo because he considered it pornographic. Like it was like angels, little naked babies, cherubs or something, and you would take it down off of the wall in someone else's home and turn it around and put it in a closet or something. And I'm like, don't touch my stuff. What are you thinking? So living in that kind of environment with that toxic energy, I just couldn't do it. And I couldn't even have an altar, with my crystals and my, I have a meditation altar. It's actually behind me. You can see it here. It's, I have a candle, and, I have cards that I try to find answers within for myself to help me through different things, whether they're tarot cards or other cards. I try to, grasp onto journaling and helping me through difficult times. Meditation, any kind of meditation at my altar is just, it's my time for my soul. And I couldn't really have an altar when I was there because, it was looked down upon. I mean, he actually threw a towel over it one time to cover it up. And I was like, oh, yeah, this does not work for me. I can't. So it affects my relationship deeply with them. And, we've had some tense conversations, and, my brother's relationship with my parents is very different. He's a guy.
Right.
So he had a very different upbringing than I did, even though we were raised in the same household. He had a very different experience. And to this day, because he's a straight man and he has a wife and a couple kids, and it seems, normal, and it seems Bible-based, even though they don't belong to the I.F.B. faith.
I was just going to ask that question. Is he still part of the faith? And maybe that was the reason, but nope, that sounds like that's not a factor.
He's not a part of the faith, and they go to a non-denominational Christian church, and, there was a big hubbub, a big conversation about the fact that their church was using rainbow-colored bread for communion one Sunday, and my dad found out about it because it was on the news. It's just ridiculous, but because it was rainbow-colored, instantly my father was like, "Oh, well, that means you're just inviting a bunch of gay people into that church." I mean, so everything that has to have a rainbow on it apparently is linked with the LGBTQA community. I didn't know this, and I'm a part of that community. So
I thought rainbows came from the Bible. I don't know. I mean, they're talked about in the Bible anyway.
They kind of did. Yeah, they kind of did.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit here and be quiet. Ivy, I'm just going to say this as a parent. The only reason why I would be frustrated with you and like your brother a little bit more than you. Do you have children, Ivy?
No, I was a foster parent, but no.
Okay. So the only reason why I would like your brother, if I was your parent, a little bit more than you, is because I'd want a grandbaby.
Yeah. I get that.
So other than that, though, I could really care less. Just, my other two complain, Mom, you like my oldest best. I do. She's given me 3 so far. How many have you given me? But, all right, Ivy. What were some of the difficulties you faced when you were transitioning out of your cult?
I don't feel like I really had too many obstacles, because my father was very supportive of me entering the Messianic Jewish faith. That wasn't a huge big deal for me at all. The thing that I had to fight was the inner voices of, am I doing the right thing? I had to relearn. I had to reprogram myself, and I didn't have support with that. I didn't know how to reprogram myself. I just had to try to cling to a different belief system.
Right.
So I've been through like 25 years of therapy, therapist after therapist, just trying to, reprogramming is a really good word, actually. I had to reprogram myself to learn that there is a different way. There are different communities that are not necessarily sinful, and not everyone's going to hell.
That was actually going to be my question to you. Was that part of the recording in your mind that you were going to go to hell because you left your religion? Because we both struggled with that, leaving our cult.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I felt like, wow, I mean, I had to relearn and had to reprogram myself to think, okay, this is what I was taught, but this is not true, this is not true, this is not true. I had to do a lot of repetitive self-talk.
Yes.
Essentially, and there was a lot of blockage for me sexually too, because I found that any type of sexual connection that I had with anyone, I felt dirty. I felt like I was going to go to hell for everything. Didn't matter if it was with a guy or a girl, did not matter. I felt like I was just despicable, and I wasn't worthy. So there was a lot. I've been through not only a lot of therapy, but I've been through a lot of sexual experiences that have actually been extremely healing for me, because I was connected with deeply spiritual, wonderful people. And it was looked at as a beautiful, loving, natural thing rather than a sinful, horrible, dirty thing to do.
Right. Yeah. Wow. No, that retraining and reprogramming yourself that takes years. I know we've been there too. That is almost a lifelong process, really.
It is.
Because when I think I'm done, something else will pop up and I'll be like, oh, there it is again.
Yeah, there's still so many triggers that come up for me. In fact, I had to have a discussion with my boyfriend the other day. My boyfriend is very, he has a little ADHD, and so he's a little high-strung sometimes. But he's very fast about everything that he does. He just wants to go and wants to move and does this and does that, and he's all over the place, just multitasker. And every once in a while, if we're going into a store or something together, he'll walk in front of me, and it pisses me off. Because,
it's a trigger.
Talk about a trigger. Because it's like, bitch, I am not going to be following you around. Like, you can take my arm and follow me into the grocery store. It's a big trigger for me. I cannot just follow in the steps of a man. It's huge.
And that's understandable when you come from that background. I mean, and hopefully he understands where that's coming from, like why that's there. And it's not a personal thing. It's not personal to him, personal to you, because it's a trigger from your past.
Well, and right. It is a trigger, and I had to explain that to him. And he wasn't raised in a cult. He was raised in a Methodist faith. His father was also a minister, but he wasn't raised in any type of cult. And we had a very heated discussion recently about the difference between a cult and other religions. And he's a Buddhist. He thinks that almost all religion is some type of cult. And I was like, the hell it is. And we had this heated discussion about it, because to me it's not. I know a lot of really amazing Christians that are not cult-like.
Right.
So for me, it triggered me. I was like, I was raised in a cult. Don't tell me that everything out there is a cult, because it's not.
Right.
Right.
And maybe part of that is because he has not experienced a cult in a very personal way, so therefore he views it, or has a very different way of determining what he thinks a cult is than people who've actually been in a more controlling group, a more judgmental group, a more strict group, all of those things that really do kind of create a cult-like environment. And actually, Autumn, she answered my next question. We naturally just kind of flowed right into it, so keep going.
Okay. She did. Ivy, I would just like for you to explain to us about am I saying it right? Vashti Initiative hotline?
So I am not. I'm actually having another Zoom meeting with the Vashti board today.
Oh, awesome.
I've been invited to join them as a volunteer. I am excited to be involved with them because they are going to be creating an organization. It's going to be a 501c3, a nonprofit organization to help people escape any type of cult. And they don't have a specific target as far as a certain faith. Like they're not wanting to focus on I.F.B. necessarily. That is our base. Most of us have come from the I.F.B. The leaders, I guess, in the organization so far. So, but they are branching out into all types of different cults. So I wish I could tell you more. I really can't because I'm not yet super involved with them, but I know that I'm excited that I'm probably going to be doing some hotline work with people who are in crisis. And I'm also going to be possibly doing some classes, like Zoom classes. There's so many visions that the Vashti Initiative has that I'm willing to step in and just try to. I just want to try to help as much as I can.
Now, I have a question. Do you know where this word, the name Vashti, comes from? Does it stand for something? Is it like an acronym? Do they have the word stand for something?
It's not an acronym, and let me see if I can look it up. I actually spoke with Evan, who is one of the directors.
And I'm just going to say for anybody watching right now, Vashti, Vashti Initiative, and if I haven't done so already, I love to tell the audience to help me remember. If I have not put a link for that website below this interview, remind me, put a link down there, tag me and say, Mel, put a link on this interview so that we can go to this page and see what they're about, because I think it's a really awesome, important program, and I think it could help a lot of people. So I want to make sure we put a link. And I'm not only going to put a link on this interview, I just want to put a link on all of I run 3 different groups for ex-cult members, and I'm going to put a link on all of my groups as well.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for doing that. So the actual website is vashtiinitiative.org, and I believe they're changing the website up a little bit. I'm taking a look at it right now. Our name. Some religious texts tell the story of Queen Vashti of Persia. Vashti defied her husband and king, and thus her spiritual authority, in order to stand up for herself and preserve her dignity. Though she sacrificed everything by her decision, her legend remains an inspiration for others who find their voice and flee oppression.
Okay, so it does have some significance. I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
And also, for anybody that would like to possibly, let me put this up here. I know Mel's going to put it in the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
in case I haven't done it yet, then go follow that.
For anybody who would also like to give donations to this group, because I know we have a lot of people that are watching that are part of the YouTube page and the Facebook page that are not a part of a cult and never have been, but they're probably going, how do I help this group help other people? So is there a place on the website where if they wanted to give donations, could they, Ivy?
Yes.
Awesome.
You could donate, you can message them. They have, I think one of their HR directors is out in California. Evan Jones is located up in Rhode Island. So it's a national thing. This is
awesome.
And I really think that it's good that we're covering all geographic locations within the states, because we can then network within our local communities and just help people try to get out, especially with financial help, because usually women, especially who have been degraded within a cult, their financial security is linked with their husband.
Yes.
And so that
and in most times they're undereducated. They don't really have, they aren't taught or don't have skills, and they don't really even know where to start.
right,
They don't
exactly.
even know where to start. And I was excited because I didn't even know that this was out there, but we have been looking for resources because we want to be able to direct people when they contact us about leaving our cult or any cult. Hey, here's a resource, any resource we can find, we are grasping for it, because we want to offer this, as many resources as possible to these people, because they need them so desperately.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so Ivy, we so appreciate that, and like I said, and Ivy, if you're watching this, and I haven't put that link there, and you think of it, you send me a private message and say, Melody, you never put that link down there. So, do you have any words of advice for anyone that thinks they might be in a cult situation?
I would say follow your heart, because intuition does not lie. If you have a gut feeling and there's something uncomfortable, use those question marks and use that as your guiding light. You know,
I like
instead
that.
of a light bulb above your head,
Yep.
question mark above your head. And I say question everything. I recently made a coffee mug. It was one of those paint your own pottery things, and I put a big question mark on it. And my roommate asked me, she was like, "Why a question mark?" I was like, "Question everything. Question everything." It's inspiration for me. It's okay to question. I was told not to question. I was told to, if I ever have a doubt, that it's the devil getting into my brain. Well, no, it's not. It's my intuition saying this doesn't feel right for me. This doesn't speak to my spirit, you know? So
Yep.
I would say follow your heart and then get some help, you know?
Yep.
And I'm just glad that there's resources out there.
Me too.
And Ivy, now that we're talking about coffee mugs, can you show everybody the coffee mug that you're drinking out of right now?
Oh, I love that.
Warrior.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, this is, and I love how huge it is because I'm a cream girl. I like lots of cream in my coffee. I use oat milk actually, but yeah.
I was just going to call you on that. I was like, that's not what you said this morning on. But
I don't usually intake dairy unless it's from Italy or France, but yeah, I love a big mug, and yeah, this really spoke to me. I was like, you know what? I am a warrior. It's good.
I think every ex-cult member could use a mug like that. We're all warriors,
yes,
aren't we?
Definitely, yeah.
absolutely. Ivy, we appreciate you coming so much. We appreciate you for speaking to us, for being open with us. I appreciate you for reaching out to Mel and wanting to talk to us. We were so excited. We were both so excited, but I was so excited because I was like, this is a legit, real resource that we can actually reach out and touch somebody. And not only that, these people have been in a cult before, and so have you. And I know at the time it kicked rocks when we were in the cult. But I would just like to really point out the woman that you have become and still are becoming, the warrior that you are, the compassionate, empathetic, wonderful woman that you are because of all that you have gone through. And it was such a pleasure. I know I can speak for Mel, for both of us, Ivy, that you allowed us to be a part of your story and to help tell your story. I appreciate it so very, very much, Ivy. I would ask that everybody give Ivy some love down in the comments. Let her know how wonderful she is, how loved she is, and how appreciated she is. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe to our Facebook page and also to our YouTube page. And Ivy, this is not all for us. We are going to remain friends, become better friends, and really, we are just so thankful to have you. And Ivy and Melody both have a fabulous, wonderful weekend.
thank you both ladies. It was so good to speak with you, and I
guys.
appreciate all of the information. And we will, again, if I don't remember the link, anybody put it down there, remind me. So thank you ladies, and you have a beautiful day.
Thank you, you too.